Welcome back, episode 109, the Justin Tucker episode of the Purple Rain podcast. We are back, and a big thank you to everybody who tuned in. If you were live, if you're part of the replay gang last episode, because last episode is very close to 2,000 views. So thank you to that. Really wasn't expecting us to get that many views on that video, but thank you. And first and foremost, you can find us on Twitter right here on Twitter at SuttonDef and at SimplyAs10. This guy on Instagram too at SuttonDef, and on me on Instagram at SimplyAs10.prod. But first and foremost, how are you doing on this lovely, as our Purple Rain Pioneer K-Dog says, Friday Eve?
Man, I'm doing great. Doing wonderful on this Friday Eve, on this Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Not too much Ravens news that we've gotten between Monday's episode and now, but there's been a couple things. There's been a couple things that we got to talk about, right? We got to talk about. So it's going to be a good episode. Episode 109 of the Purple Rain podcast. Like my guy Alex said, thank you guys so much for coming out to this episode. Make sure you go ahead and like the video. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way, right? Like the video, leave a thumbs up here. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. There's going to be plenty more Ravens content coming your way. Also, big shout out, like Alex said, to the Rain Gang and also the Replay Gang as well. And then I would be totally remiss if I did not give a shout out to everybody watching live on Twitter right now as well. Yeah. Once again, we are live on Twitter for every single episode, and we already have about 30 people watching live right now. So thank you guys so much. Let's see who we have here in the live chat. Let's see how you guys are doing. Griffin Straight is in here. What's up, everyone? What's up, Griffin? Jord is in the house. Dad Bod Killers is in here. I got my guy Black Daniels in the building. Says Rain Gang. What's good, fam? What's going on, bro? Appreciate you for stopping by. Mod Boz in here. Says, yo, Rain Gang. What's good, Boz? Appreciate you for stopping by. Raven 76B More, salute. What's going on, man? Boz says like and subscribe. I mean, he's got it all covered. He knows. Listen to the mods, man. Listen to the mods, guys. Can't really say anything else. Kimberly, another Purple Rain Pioneer. I'm gonna give Kimberly that stamp. She's a Purple Rain Pioneer, always coming through, always supporting. Thank you so much. Yolanda as well. Good evening, PRP family. Good evening, Yolanda. Thank you for coming through. Who else we got in here? Twisted Purple Bird says we back. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you. My guy Dylan in the house. What's going on, Dylan? Thank you for pulling up. Taquan Christian says, yo, Rain Gang, Sutton and Alex. Always coming through, always supporting. We appreciate you. We really do. Old guy in a black shirt says, hey, G.
I love the name. Love it.
Yeah. Let's see. Sutton was in that space with you the other day. Real cool. DLC. What's going on, DLC? Yeah, I was in a space the other day. Shout out to Miss Gina, Ravens Talks Football.
I heard you.
She's always, she's always hosting spaces, man. So if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow her. I think her @name is at She Talks Football. I want to say. She's always doing spaces. If you want to talk Ravens just on a daily basis, make sure you follow her on Twitter. See, Stackhouse is in here. Rico Nixels is in here. Nas I is in here. Love the podcast. Appreciate that. We appreciate that. We really do. Mitchell Nazamak is in here. Quote up, like, and subscribe. I'm loving the support tonight, man. You guys are just going crazy. Corey Sutphin's in here. Ravens Latest says, what's up? Simply, what's up, Sutton?
Follow him on Instagram at Ravens Latest.
Oh,
yeah.
Do that. For sure. Against the Grain 410 says, keep being great, bro. ATG, my boys, and I appreciate you guys. Salute to y'all. Gage Ramsey says, what's good? Jessica Bass in the building says, Rain Gang with the Purple Heart. We love you. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. We got some things to get to tonight. We already got about 50 people watching live, so let's not miss any more words, right, Alex?
Let's do it.
Let's get right to it. Yeah, let's get right to it. So kind of the first thing that we wanted to talk about was just kind of the most recent news that's come out with the Ravens. And, it's kind of something that a lot of Ravens fans will be interested in because it's about wide receiver, the position that the Ravens fans and, the Ravens flock, the Rain Gang, most of us feel like wide receiver is the number one priority for positions right now. It's the number one weakness. Yeah, sure. It's the number one weakness right now. And news recently came out. Who was it? Josina Anderson?
It was, yep.
Yeah. Always trust her, right? Always reliable. She was basically saying that the Ravens are doing their quote unquote due diligence on wide receivers. They're doing their homework, right? So they're shopping around with free agents. They're trying to see who's available for what price, that sort of thing. That's interesting enough, right? Because we need somebody.
A vet. the vet
We need a
in
vet.
the receiver room, and there are guys available. I'll name them: Julio Jones, Odell
Mm,
Beckham Jr.,
hmm.
Jarvis Landry,
Right.
and Will Fuller. Those are the names that come to my mind. They're the guys that I think are the ones that we're gonna get. And I'd
Hmm.
say 3 out of those 4 guys, you can put the word injury pro next to them. All of them excluding Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
Um, it's just I definitely think we're gonna sign one of them. It's just I don't know who. I know we talked about it after we went live on Monday,
Yeah.
just about who we want. I originally said Odell, but I'm kind of leaning more towards the Jarvis Landry. But once again, he was expecting like I think 14 to 20 million. We're not paying that. That's not
Mm,
happening. Um, so yeah, I mean, no, there's no names that have been released, but those are the 4 that I would expect us doing our due diligence on.
right. Yeah, I mean, and out of those four names, Jarvis Landry is probably the most like I don't want to say likely, but that's probably the best fit, the best candidate for the Ravens
Yeah.
offense, if you ask me. Because like you said, most of those guys are pretty injury prone. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
there was anybody else that I would want on that list, it's probably Julio Jones. I think that Julio Jones still has a little bit left in the tank. I feel like he could definitely help our receiving core. Honestly, if we bring in a Julio Jones, that's very like reminiscent of bringing in an Anquan Bolden to our roster. Honestly, I feel like he can kind of serve a similar purpose. No, do you agree? No.
I just I don't know because he showed flashes last year,
Yeah.
but I don't need. It's like it kind of would be a Sammy Watkins 2.0 minus Julio is a much better receiver all around, but just he'll be good for what a couple of games, and then the hamstring happens, and then you don't see him for the rest of the year, which I don't want to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's why I said like I would probably go with Landry if anybody, but like you
yeah,
said as well, he's commanding a lot of money. He knows he has a lot left in the tank.
yeah,
And I don't think we're going to be able to afford him, unfortunately, like you said. But it is interesting enough that the Ravens are doing at least their homework. They're trying,
yeah,
so it's a good sign, right? It's a good
yeah,
optics that the Ravens are actually realizing that hey, we have a deficiency at wide receiver right now, and we need to go out and get someone.
yeah.
Because in the draft, we really did not address that. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about like, oh, there's guys like Isaiah Likely that we drafted, the tight end out of Coastal Carolina University, who could double as a wide receiver. How do you feel about that instead of like bringing in one of these free agents? Because that's what's feeling like is more likely at this point, right?
It definitely does. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll line up Mark Andrews out as a receiver too sometimes.
Mm,
So I'm not comparing Likely and Mark Andrews because it's Mark Andrews is a top 2, not 2 from last year, and all around top 3, no matter where you put him, tight end in the league. Do I think it could happen? 1,000,000%.
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like he was playing at Coastal, so it's definitely going to be a little bit of a jump. But that's what the coaches are for. But like I
Yeah.
said, I'm really not against getting another receiver because it just can't hurt. In what way does getting another receiver hurt for training camp? I mean, Lamar's already been practicing with Prochet and with Bateman. All he's missing is Duvernay and Wallace, which I don't think is too much trouble. So
Yeah.
that's just how I feel.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see. Majin Bull says if we sign T.Y. Hilton, Fuller, or Sanders, then I'm dead. LMAO.
We talked about it last episode.
Yeah.
We both said no to T.Y. Hilton over a year ago, and it's even bigger no now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly. And let me see. Raven 76 B more here says, I really want to see Duvernay, Prochet, and Tylan Wallace get their chance. I do too. I really do too. But my thing is though, like having that veteran wide receiver in the locker room, that presence, it's everything. We have a bunch of young guys on that receiving core. Like we don't even have a Sammy Watkins anymore.
No.
So there's really no vets in that group. And with that being said, like I just don't really see. What I will say is this: I think that it's going to be a very big year for T. Martin, Keith Williams. This is going to be a crucial year for them. We have pretty much, like I said again, no vets. So these young guys are going to have to step up, and those guys are going to have to coach them up. That being T. Martin and Keith Williams, and I have faith in them. Duvernay is just coming off of his best season of his career. No, Prochet coming off the best season of his career. Tylan Wallace barely got a chance, but when he did get in the game, I saw your highlight video, Alex. He did pretty damn good.
And special
So
teams. I mean,
yeah.
they love special team series, making plays, and I want to see them get their chance too. But I think even if we sign a veteran receiver, that doesn't mean that they lose their chance. And I think that goes back on coaching. I think
Mm,
last season, Wallace, Prochet, they should have gotten more chances over Sammy Watkins. What the hell did Sammy Watkins do after he caught that touchdown against the Steelers? Absolutely nothing. I
Mm.
mean, if any other of these receivers would have fumbled like Sammy Watkins did against the Dolphins, and I have so much love for Watkins because he was the reason we got a 7-yard field goal or 66-yard field goal from Justin Tucker. The
That's
reason we
true.
beat the
Yep.
Bears.
The
He made
Lions.
big
The
plays.
Lions.
Yeah, the big play against the Bears too.
Oh, the
It
Bears
was
too.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, with Huntley was playing. I'm like, thank you for that, but let's say a guy like Bateman were to fumble, he would have gotten even less targets. So why
Yeah.
aren't you holding the same energy, keep the energy with these other receivers? So
Right.
I think if we were to sign a Landry, we can still give Bateman, we can still give Prochet, Wallace, and Duvernay their targets, but that all falls back on the offensive coordinator, and we have a great segment planned for and a little bit about him. So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
just
We do. But like I said, the biggest news coming out of today was the fact that the Ravens are doing their homework, which means that they know that there's a deficiency at the wide receiver position, which is good for us fans. It tells us that the Ravens, the front office, they're not tone deaf, right? They get what they're supposed to be doing, and if they don't add, let me ask you this, Alex, and the whole Rain gang. Let me ask you guys this: if they do not sign a veteran free agent wide receiver, would you be upset? Would you be genuinely upset, or would you be comfortable going into the season with what we already have?
I'd be annoyed. I wouldn't say upset because
Annoyed.
I'm not expecting them to sign anybody,
Okay.
um, because of who we have sitting up there calling the plays. Because Marquise Brown, I don't want to get too much into what we're about to talk about, but Marquise Brown kind of just laid it out there.
Yeah.
No actual good receiver will come here and wants to play. I mean, Bateman's stuck here because we drafted him, but I think if we don't switch out the guy calling the plays, Bateman could be the next guy we see request a trade and go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Alex, we might as well just go ahead and segue and get into the
Okay.
topic, right?
Okay,
Let's go
we
ahead
can
and
do it.
talk about it. You guys can see the title of the video is the real reason why Marcus
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown got
Exposed.
traded from the
Came
Ravens.
out.
It's exposed,
But we knew
right?
it.
We knew it. We knew it all along, but let's really kind of dissect that and talk about it because it's very, very interesting to me, at least. The fact that you have a wide receiver that you drafted in the first round 3 years ago, and 3 years later, he's disgruntled about the production that he's getting because of the opportunities that he's not getting. You know, that is very indicative of your offensive coordinator, the scheme, what you want to do. Now, we understand that the Ravens are a run-first team, right? But we also understand that the current NFL in 2022, the current climate of the NFL, it's a passing league. You have to pass the football in order to win games, in order to win Super Bowls, championships, right? So with that being said, that is probably the biggest reason why Marquise Hollywood Brown requested that trade out of Baltimore, because he saw what was going on. And I can't even blame him, honestly. I can't blame him.
I can't.
You know, Hollywood wants to go be Hollywood, right? He wants to catch passes. He wants to be that big time player. And the opportunities that you get in Baltimore are so few and far between. It really just didn't seem like it was worth it, even with having his best friend Lamar Jackson on the squad.
Yep. And I'll just kind of even go more into it.
Sure.
You have a first round receiver in Rashad Bateman who would get scripted the plays the first 2 or 3 drives. And what would happen the rest of the game? No more targets, no more looks.
Nothing.
He wasn't even on the field some of the time. Like,
Yeah.
where was he in the Pittsburgh Steelers away game when Sammy Watkins caught the touchdown that tied the game? Then that we were down by 1 point, we went for 2. Where was Bateman that whole game? Nowhere. And that's the problem. It's like that's why I think he'll be the next one probably out the door. And I see what Jonathan Washington said. Can you bring that comment up? Because I'm actually just about to get into all the people that have called out the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's Bryant, Lamar Jackson, RG3, Hollywood, Steve Smith. Hell, Phillip Rivers and Willie Steen. I'll throw 2 more people on there. These are all
Ooh.
guys. They're not fans. They're players. So, I mean, you have maybe a Hall of Famer and a Steve Smith, maybe a Hall of Famer and Phillip Rivers calling out what we're doing. And we saw it. And the Dolphins, they exposed us. They know how to beat the Greg Roman offense. It's just, like I said, there's been articles about this for both the Niners and the Bills. We talked about it last year. The same thing happened with them, and they let him go. He was with the Niners for 4 years and the Bills for 2 years. He's going on his 4th year with the Ravens. There's no reason why we should be keeping him any longer, and that all comes down on the head coach now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my guy Jonathan Washington Jr. here says, like my guy Black Daniel says in the comments, Giro is the common denominator. right?
Yep.
All these guys are calling him out. Hell, I was at work the other day and I had like this 65-year-old guy come into work and we're chopping up about football. He happened to be a Bills fan, right? And he knew. He knew. He was like, I don't watch football as much as I used to, but I do know that Greg Roman. I know how predictable he is. I know what he does with the running game, all this and that. And I'm like, wow. It's like everybody knows. Everyone knows.
Niner
it's
fans
like,
know.
Niner fans know. Everyone knows. It's not a secret. It's not a secret anymore. It works like, and I've seen people say this too. Greg Roman does his best work when he is introduced as a new offensive coordinator. Yep. He can kind of switch things around and surprise everybody, shock everyone, right? Yep. But then everybody kind of gets used to or gets hip to what he's doing. And then there's just no adjustments, right? Like, I fully expect the Ravens to go out this coming up season, and still be running the same type of offense, RPO damn near every play. I'm talking 94% of snaps coming from the shotgun, 6% under center, which is ridiculous and terribly predictable. I fully expect that. And like I said again, like my guy said, Black Daniels, Giro is the common denominator. Now, I've never been the one to call for anybody's job or anything like that. I'm just telling you what I've seen as a fan, and Alex is as well. What I've seen as a fan over the past couple seasons. You know,
I mean, listen,
yeah,
there comes to a point where we've talked about it. You know, you kind of just gotta just cut it. I mean, he runs all this heavy personnel. It makes it virtually impossible for a wide receiver to just be good in his offenses. It makes it impossible. And we have a guy hit 1,000. The fact Hollywood hit 1,000 yards in this offense is actually pretty crazy. But the reason why is because Greg Roman had to. He didn't have Lamar Jackson back there. He didn't have a Colin Kaepernick when he had the Niners. He didn't have a Tyler Taylor. He had Tyler Huntley. He didn't know what the hell he was dealing with. So he had to throw. And that's why we were, I think, 13th last year in passing. If Lamar stays healthy the whole season, we're mid to 16 to 23, I think. But he was forced to throw. And I know when Lamar comes back, hell, we have, 5 or 6 tight ends, 2 fullbacks. We're going heavy personnel every single play, it feels like. It wouldn't surprise me if we keep Ben Mason and Pat Ricard just to keep on running it. I'll say it again. Right. When was the last time a run-heavy team won the Super Bowl? And this is going to lead into our thing. Do you think that Greg Roman can lead us to a Super Bowl? Because I'm going to spoil it. No for me. Nowhere close for me.
It's a no. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have to agree with you. Dad Bod Killers here asks, why do you think the Ravens are sticking with Giro for another year?
It's the injury card. That's what it is. And you called it.
You
called it last year. Called it last year. You knew it. I was pissed off. Like, he's gonna stay for another year. They're gonna say all the injuries, this and that. There it is.
That was his scapegoat right there. All the injuries, things like that, and. You know, I get it. You lose your run game coordinator, right? That's what you really want to focus on. And you lose your entire running back room 2 weeks before the season. So you have to completely change the game up. I get it. I understand. But at the same time, I like to look at a couple things, right? I like to refer back to the 2019 season a lot.
Okay.
And I like to see what we did then and then comparing it to what we did in this previous season. Now, I like to look at points scored. Let's take a look at that, right? So in the 2019 season, points scored in the first quarter, we averaged 3 points. Not 2019 season, 2022 season. I'm sorry, 2021 or this past season. We averaged 3 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the second quarter, 4.2 points in the third quarter, and 8 points in the fourth quarter. Now let me read that again for you. In the 2021 season, the Ravens averaged 3 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the second quarter, 4.2 points in the third quarter, and 8 points in the fourth quarter. Now, what does that tell us just right off the bat? The Ravens are scoring less points in the first and third quarter than they are in the second and fourth. Now, what does that tell me? That tells me that preparing for the game, you have all week to prepare. First quarter is very indicative of your game plan, right?
First drive, I think.
First drive. It tells you what you want to do offensively for the game. We only averaged 3 points in that quarter. And then the second quarter comes along. Once we realize things aren't working, we have Lamar start playing hero ball, right? So that's why we average more points in the second quarter. Yep. We go into the locker room at halftime, right? Giro makes his quote unquote adjustments, right? We come back out third quarter flat, 4.2 points we're averaging. And then fourth quarter comes around. It's like, okay, the game plan didn't work again. Lamar will go play some more hero ball. Now all of a sudden we're averaging 8 points in the fourth quarter, and we're trying to play catch up.
That's
That's a trend.
yeah,
That's a trend.
and like we said, when Roman comes in, that's when it's his best, i.e.,
Yeah.
2019. Nobody knew what was coming, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read this quote from Stephen Ruiz of The Ringer.
Yeah.
Greg Roman still has no answers for these overtly aggressive defenses. One solution could be a fully fleshed out passing game, but as we covered earlier, that would require Roman to strip down his expensive run game, which would be like asking Nick Cage to stop overreacting. It's literally the only thing he's good for at this point. I didn't get the reference because I don't watch movies, etc. But just from that, from a guy who's not even in the NFL as a coach, who can see that, and the point he's making is that this personnel, like, it's so based on the run that when you ask him to just be different, he doesn't even know how to do it. He doesn't know how to
Yeah.
just run a passing game, and that's why we had to bring in guys like Keith Williams, like T. Martin, to help him. We had to bring in people to help him at his job, which,
Yeah.
if you got to bring somebody to help them at their job, that's kind of saying enough for me, personally.
Yeah.
It means like you're below average. And the fact this man has an offensive coach, or what, a coach of assistant coach of the year award, and nobody wanted him for a head coach, speaks more than anything else to me. It really does.
Yeah.
Because
It
any
does.
other assistant is going to be getting multiple head coaching interviews and probably going to get that job. Where's his job at as head coach in his whole career? It's under Harbaugh. It's Harbaugh links. That's all it is.
Exactly. We've never seen Giro as head coach. We got our guy DLC with our first
Thank you,
super chat
DLC.
donation
Thank you,
of
thank you,
the
thank you.
episode. Thank you so much. Making it rain here on episode 109, the Justin Tucker episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Says it's the train up who comes after him. I guess he's talking about Greg Roman and
Yeah.
why they're keeping. I don't know. But
Whoever
I
comes
just-
after him, you're working with a lot of good stuff, I think. I think
You
you're
are.
working with a lot of potential. It's like you got
Yeah.
the best tight end, arguably, in the league. You have a rookie stud who, when he's thrown the ball to, he's going to make plays. You have
Yeah.
just a generational athlete in the quarterback. You have a new revamped, beefed up offensive line. You have two guys who average 5.1 yards a carry in running backs. All you're missing is just another receiver. I think you should be able to just ball out with that offense.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, that's just me too. And just kind of getting back to the whole reason that Hollywood left. I mean, Hollywood, even as a young player, he kind of saw what was going on. Like, okay, this offense is tailored towards the run game. I'm going to be out here blocking a lot instead of like, running routes and catching passes like I should be, and then when I do get the passing plays, it's like our offensive line is not even good enough to block for Lamar for him to have time to throw the ball to me.
No.
So it's like, he had every single reason to get up out of Baltimore, go over to Arizona, play with his boy Kyler again. I get it. I get it. And my biggest fear, and we talked about this the other day, Alex, like our biggest fear is this. And you mentioned it a little bit like a couple minutes ago. What happens when Rashad Bateman has a big breakout season? He breaks 1,000 yards, right?
You mean this year? 100%.
This year. I think
year.
it's this year too. Because they're going to have to start featuring him. Lamar has already, we saw it since the beginning of the offseason. They're all buddy. They're training together.
Training.
Yeah, they've been training. So you can see that's going to be the connection. So what happens when that is the connection? Bateman has a breakout season and we still fall short of the Super Bowl. Maybe 1 year, 2 year, maybe 3 years in a row. And after that time, he's already had, the experience under his belt. People know what he's about. Who's to say he doesn't request a trade to go somewhere where he can thrive? That's the biggest fear. And the question is this: when are the Ravens going to start holding Greg Roman accountable? When are they going to hold him accountable?
And it starts at the top with that coach. And I like Harbaugh. I'm not going to sit here and want him fired, but that's his problem. Way too loyal. I was surprised. I'm still surprised to the day that we fired Wink Martindale. I didn't think it would happen. I was fully expecting to go back with the same coordinators. I'm not even saying running back. Just have another season with them because it's comfortable. There's no that's just a word. Like, they like it comfortable with their teams and their coaches. Let's get uncomfortable. Let's get real uncomfortable. Let's make it awkward, because that's going to make people perform their best, and I think it would gel. I mean, I'm pretty excited for this defense with Mike McDonald, because what he's talked about, everything he said, I like. He's building a defense that I think can start stopping, these, fluent, amazing passing games, something that we really don't know about, that we should know about, but we don't have it. But the offense, it's the same old shit, unfortunately. Tight ends, fullbacks, heavy personnel.
Now, listen. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see the Ravens go back out there this season and implement a heavy running game. Really lean on teams, take control of the time of possession, things like that. I would love that. But the thing is, we're not going to be playing the type of teams we can lean on all the time. We're not going to be playing the Lions, the Texans, all these like I can say the Dolphins still, even though they made some improvements. Other teams like that. Other teams, we're not going to be playing teams like that, even though we lost to the Dolphins last year. We're going to be playing some high quality teams, some teams where we're going to have to throw back into games. We're going to find ourselves down late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, that sort of thing. 2 possessions where we're going to have to rely on Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, and that passing game to bring us back in the ball game. So if we don't see I'm tired of the Ravens only like showing the passing game when they have to, And last year we kind of saw that they tried. Yeah, third and long. Last year we kind of saw that they tried to kind of get it going a little bit more, and that's why Lamar started off the season really hot. Lamar started off the season really well. MVP candidate, absolutely. But then offensive line started to kind of fall apart a little bit, and then at the same time we really just weren't getting good concepts. We weren't getting like good wide receiver concepts, like things like that. We had guys running into each other. It was just ugly. It was very ugly. My biggest fear is I don't want us to waste Lamar Jackson's rookie contract in its totality. And I feel like we've been doing that so far. We've already done that. Like and the Chiefs were the blueprint.
Yeah, and the guy who used to be behind Lamar Jackson, Robert Griffin III, put out some really interesting tweets today. I'm going to read one of them. Despite throwing the ball more last year, the Ravens still averaged 90 more runs than passes over the last 3 years. The Cardinals have averaged 116 more passes than runs in the last 3 years. Yeah. For reference, the Chiefs haven't run the ball more than they've thrown the ball in 10 years. I'm not saying that this team has to go fully pass heavy, but there's no way that it should be like that. No way.
Right. Yeah. No way. There's got to be some balance, and like if I'm Greg Roman right now, I am doing everything in my power to make sure that Rashad Bateman, and all these other guys on our receiving core right now are gonna be able to get the football this upcoming season. Like you have to threaten that we have to be a threat through the air, because it's not gonna work. You cannot run the ball. You cannot run the football throughout the entire playoffs. Like you said, when was the last time a running football team won the Super Bowl?
I mean,
it's probably us, right?
If the running backs, should take you to the Super Bowl, why were the Titans one and done the past 2 years?
Talk about it.
Why when the Chiefs, a defense with a good coach, knew how to shut Derrick Henry down in 2019, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and the Titans lost in the AFC Championship. And when you stop these teams' run games, it's hard for them to pass it because there's nothing there. And the Titans had AJ Brown. Who's a really, really good receiver. Like, it's a passing league. And I don't understand why some coaches don't understand that.
Yeah. My guy Black Daniels here says, bro, we don't even implement the play action as much as we did in the Flacco era. Yeah, I mean, everything is just all RPO, right? It's all RPO. And that kind of like...
design runs will fail us sometimes.
The design runs, that kills me, man. That kills me. And I feel like you're doing a disservice to Lamar when you're asking him, okay, every time that the ball is hiked, you're going to be in shotgun, right? You're going to fake the ball to your running back, and then you're going to be able to look downfield after that. Like, you're going to pull it out from him, then you're going to be able to look downfield. That takes up a lot of time, By the time all that happens, he could have a rusher in his face, especially with the offensive line that we had last year,
It's just unnecessary.
It's just unnecessary
all the time. Much on the offensive line, too, I think.
Yeah. You have to block literally for like an extra second, which is huge.
And then even just for the center, we've talked about it, just in the pistol and the shotgun, snapping the ball, like make it easier on these guys' lives because you're not doing that. Yeah. I'm kind of worried for Ronnie Stanley coming back, thinking about it now. Hopefully he's back in time, but we're expecting a lot out of him because just how poor the line was last year. I just want Roman to at least make it somewhat easier for everybody, but he won't. I've just stopped getting my hopes up. He won't.
I mean, my thing is, if you have a healthy Ronnie Stanley coming back, you have a Morgan Moses at right tackle. You drafted a center that you're supposed to be using for the next 7 to 10 years. We have a solid right guard, and then we have two guys at left guard that are serviceable at least.
At 3, Tyree Phillips is in that conversation now too.
Yeah, yeah. So three guys, right? So there really should be no excuses. Granted, those guys actually perform well. There should be no excuse why the Ravens cannot mount a good passing attack.
No.
There's no reason. There's no reason why we should not be able to. But again, we don't know what our guy Giro has in store for us. Like we said last season, we were sitting here 365 days ago. We heard on the Rich Eisen show that the Ravens are going to be doing more plays under center, and not everything out of the pistol and shotgun formation. But that didn't happen.
That was a lie.
That was a lie. So it's like if we go into this season using the exact same formula, and we're having the exact same issues, then something's got to give, dude. Something has got to give. And it's only a matter of time until the Ravens have to look at Giro and say, okay, our offense has been where we have fallen short in the past 3 years. Defense, I can't even say that defense has been the big issue. We had a bunch of injuries on defense last year. That's why we're giving up the big plays.
And I mean, in the 2020 playoffs, it wasn't. And at 2019, as much as Derrick Henry ran over us, the offense screwed us. Look at the where the Titans were starting with the ball near the midfield. I mean, we're going for our 4th and 1 play calls. That's one thing. Our 4th and 1 or 4th and short play calls are so predictable. I don't know how they always still work. It's always
everybody
power
in the world
to the left
knows.
and power to the right.
Yep.
It's like it's going to be Lamar there or Tyler Huntley last year with Ricard right next to him and the line stacked and have 9 people on there. It's the same plan. I'm like, of course, when it stops working, it's in the playoffs. Like I said, I know that Derrick Henry just got all of our defense in 2019, but the offense did a terrible job of just giving them amazing field position too.
They did. So. They did. Let me see. Team Ramey brings up a good point here. It says, don't forget Lamar has about 5 seconds to get the ball off because they break the huddle so late. That's another thing too. Like
we've talked it for years. Yeah. This is now going to our 3rd season. We talked about it in our 1st season doing it 2020 last year, and now this year is the 3rd season that we're talking about. Can we get to the line of scrimmage? Maybe 10 seconds on the play clock. Maybe let Lamar look at to see what's going on. Right. Maybe 15 seconds. Maybe an audible or something. But
because I tell you, man, like we cannot afford to be breaking the huddle so late and getting to the line so late. Because guess what that causes? That causes a lot of penalties, pre-snap penalties, right? And then also it's going to cause more delay of games. I don't know if you guys remember that Lions game where we had the historic field goal. That play, I think the play right before the field goal, that was a delay of game. It was a delay of game. The clock hit 0. The play clock hit 0, man. I'm not going to lie to you. It did. They could have very well called that, but they didn't, luckily for us, and we won that football game. But those are the sort of things we want to avoid going forward. So I hope that is another thing that they're addressing this offseason. Because that's important too.
Yeah, and we should be more excited for this offense, I think, than defense because we have generational talent at quarterback. But I'm really excited for the defense, unfortunately. Yeah. And hello, depressed O's fan. How are you?
Yeah. Let's see. Jonathan Washington Jr. says we're still a tier below Buffalo, Kansas City, and Cincinnati. I trust in their playmakers and their coaching more than in Baltimore. I do too.
I agree with you. I like Buffalo right now. Like they were there.
They don't run at all.
Yeah, they didn't run. How many times did they run against us in the 2020 playoffs?
Oh, it was maybe 4 or 5 times.
That was it. And it was a windy game. Like you would have thought they would have been running it. But their offense was terrible against us. Our defense had to number that game. But I look at all those teams. I do trust them more than us. Yeah, that's saying a lot.
Dude, it's stressful. It's stressful being a Ravens fan sometimes, especially on Sundays when you can literally see that the offense cannot get anything going through the air, right? And it's only like on the ground. And that's why I was saying in Miss Gina's space, shout out to As She Talks Football again. I was telling the people in that space yesterday that I think that the biggest piece this year, other than Lamar Jackson, besides him, is going to be J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Because like you said, Greg Roman, we're fully expecting him to be our offensive coordinator for this upcoming season, right? We're fully expecting that. We know what he wants to do. It's heavily reliant upon the run game. So we're going to need big plays. We're going to need big plays from J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards in order to set our offense up for success and to open up that passing game.
We do. I mean, I think them just getting better with catching the ball at the backfield does a lot for this offense, but it just shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't. We're not in the 1930s and 40s with Jim Brown and the 50s and 60s with Jim Brown and all these guys. It's just we're in
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah.
They got. I just look at what the Chiefs are doing, like their plays. Do you think Greg Roman's ever thought of a play like having one guy in motion, the other guy in motion, like snapping at the quarterback, and the quarterback like just does some crazy stuff? I don't think he's ever thought of like something that just
Dude.
creative. Creative isn't a word I think you should ever put with Greg Roman unless you have not in front of it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, because
we run the game, run play. That's about it.
we really don't see a whole lot of creativity. The most creativity we saw from Greg Roman was probably back in the 2019 season when they ran the whole Heisman formation thing, you know?
I doubt he even came up with that. I bet you like Mark Ingram or something.
He said Mark So, hey, why don't we just get RG3, Lamar, and myself,
Yeah.
and we can all just do this play, and it'd be pretty cool, right? And it just ends up working, yeah.
Good times.
Good times, good times. Appreciate all of you guys who are in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much. If you're part of the hashtag replay gang, thank you guys so much. Leave a hashtag replay gang down in the comments below. I love the love we get from the replay gang after the fact. It just makes me so happy. We appreciate all of you guys. Now let me see. Yeah,
we're
sure.
8 likes away from 50.
Ooh.
So I would love that a lot. 50 likes.
Thumbs up. Leave a thumbs up, guys. Leave a thumbs up. Let me see. Jonathan Washington Jr. brings up an interesting little tidbit here. It says, even though Harb signed an extension, he should still be on the hot seat. I don't care about what he did 10 years ago. This is a what have you done for me lately league. He's absolutely right about that. If he is a great head coach, no excuse. What do you think about that?
I'm not going to say the hot seat, but I definitely agree with you. I look at Mike Tomlin. He was dealing with Ben Roethlisberger's corpse at quarterback.
Yeah.
And they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Granted, we knew they were going to be a one and done, but hey, they made it to the playoffs.
They made it. Yeah, right.
They went above 500 with Mason Rudolph and Devlin Duck Hodges at quarterback.
Yeah.
Us last year, bro, they had injuries too. We had injuries. I definitely see where you're coming from, Jonathan. I definitely see.
For sure. Let's see. So, I mean, and let's just kind of talk about that. We talked about this last year about kind of like the leash that Greg Roman should be on. Granted, if our team goes into this season fully healthy, right? So we have Dobbins, Edwards, all of our wide receivers are good to go. Offensive line is looking good. Lamar's good to go. If we are not producing in the first 4 weeks, and I said this last year too, in the first 4 weeks, if we're not producing in the first 4 weeks with a healthy offense, somebody in that organization, somebody in that franchise has to look at, okay, this is a trend, right? Our offense is not doing what it needs to do, because obviously we should be flying way higher than we are right now. We should not be averaging 3 points in the first quarter. There's no reason for that.
And you know what? I think I'm going to go back to the 2019 season. Outside of that Dolphins game, the first 4 games, what was so good about our offense?
I mean, you talking about the 2019 season?
Yeah, the first 4 games, just like the first 4. I mean, blew up the Dolphins. The Cardinals game was close. Lost the Chiefs, going for 2-point conversions, and we like Mark Ingram bailed us out that game. And then that Browns game, 40-25, the offense just like dead. And then we turned it on. I think that's because how good Lamar was that year, and this is the line. The line was amazing. I'm not going to try to take away too much from Roman because he was calling plays, but it's like there's just been this trend. I think it just happens every year. And last year, I'll look at the first 4 games. He was forced to throw the first game because we had no running back. Second game, Lamar bailed us out, and then the third game, what was it? The Lions, that receivers dropping balls, and the fourth, that was just. But the Broncos were just dog shit. They were terrible when we played them. But I think if we give them the first 4 games again, it's going to be pretty mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, and when you think about it, you said like Lamar bailed us out. Lamar plays a lot of hero ball. That's why, I mean, honestly, I can say Lamar for president with how many jobs he creates, honestly. Greg Roman, John Harbaugh, like both of those guys. Saved both of those guys' jobs, honestly. Really did. Because a lot of those games, if those games would have went the other way and we didn't have the Lamar heroics, they'd probably be having that conversation about, okay, maybe we need to look at some of our coaching staff and kind of, evaluate and, move forward with some guys. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like it's kind of like a blessing and a curse, right? Because
Yeah.
look at last year. We won 8 games based off of what Lamar was able to do for us, but we very well could have lost all those 8 games too. That's the
We can go.
thing.
We can go down the list and talk about which ones we should have lost right now.
Yeah.
The Chiefs,
Yeah.
the
Chiefs could
Lions,
have lost that one. Lions, yeah.
Colts,
Colts for sure.
the Browns game. I mean, he threw 4 interceptions. That game was terrible.
Yeah.
Somehow we
Yeah, it
scraped
was.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Let me see. I got my guy in here. Marcel Allen says, I think he left because Hollywood Brown, that is. I think he left because he was never to get paid and he can be replaced with any fast wide receiver. I didn't see the Ravens paying any wide receiver 18 million up. Tight ends are cheaper. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Ravens love their tight ends.
We weren't gonna pay him 20 million. I'll be honest. It wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But he got his 5th-year option picked up. I'm rooting for him. And with DeAndre Hopkins being suspended, go ball out in NFC.
That's another thing too. Yeah, I mean, he should definitely get his fair share of targets with DeAndre Hopkins being out the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very interesting to see what Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown do in that Arizona offense, that quote unquote air raid offense that they have, right? What they're gonna do with that. Now, just talking a little bit more about Hollywood Brown before we segue here. Hollywood Brown, he's coming off his best season, and the thing that I liked the most about him this past season was that he was getting the yak yards, right? He was getting yak. He really was. Like I went to one of the games myself. It was when we played the Vikings, and he was catching passes left and right, turning up the field. Yeah.
And the screen plays. I mean, he was catching them 2 or 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, running, making guys miss, using the stiff arm, doing his thing.
Right, using the stiff arm. He was not doing that in his first 2 seasons. He wasn't. So he was trending upwards.
That was him and Bateman's best game together. And we put up 34 points.
Yeah. In a nail-biter victory, yeah.
And it should have been like that either. And that was without, there was that 1-2 combination was there, but I get it.
Right. But all in all, here's what I'm saying, Alex. I think that in order for the Ravens to be successful in the 2022 season, one thing needs to happen. The Ravens cannot afford to keep starting slow. We cannot afford to average 3 points in the third quarter. We cannot afford to average 4 points in the third quarter. 3 points in the first quarter, 4 points in the third quarter. We can't afford that. We can't. We need touchdowns, not field goals, right?
Touchdowns the first drive. Points the first drive.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking for.
You look at the 2019 season, we averaged 8 points in the first quarter. We were scoring touchdowns. Yeah, so we were averaging 8 points in the first quarter in the 2019 season, 9.8 points in the second quarter, 6.6 in the third quarter, and 8.6 in the fourth quarter.
Started strong.
We were putting up points. Yeah, start strong, finish strong. That's the name of the game, literally. And coming out flat like that, like I said, is very indicative of your scheme. Is very indicative of your game plan. And that's all I'm saying here. Let's go ahead.
It's draining because we know nothing's going to change.
Until Giro moves on, honestly, like you said before, I don't think that the Ravens will be winning a Super Bowl with him at the helm, just knowing what he likes to do and how predictable he is, because everybody has a playbook. Everybody saw what happened on primetime television when we played the Dolphins, and they just threw a cover 0 blitz at us, and we just could not stop it. We just couldn't stop it.
And even when he made the Super Bowl, he put up 6 points and a half against us.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
The lights had to go out for them to get a chance.
Right. So let's go ahead and just segue here. We're about 44 minutes into the pod. We're going to talk about some UDFAs, undrafted free agents that the Ravens had signed. I'm going to let my guy Alex take the reign on this. He's got them all queued up. And I know he's made videos on these guys too. So let me know who these guys are.
A couple of them. Not all of them.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm going to focus first on these receivers that we got because
that's what's most important.
I've heard a good amount. So Slade Bolden from Alabama he played in 15 games last year, 42 catches, 408 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was an effective slot receiver for the Crimson Tide, and he displayed sure hands catching balls in traffic. Now, playing against NFL caliber defenders, definitely got to prove that. But he's talked about how he's willing to play on special teams, willing to return punts and kicks, which really kind of set off something in my head. Because if Devin Duvernay is going to be a focal point of this offense, I don't think you want him returning kicks or punts. That was just
No.
maybe my thinking. They very well could have him doing that. So, what do you think about that? Like, if Duvernay becomes like an option in this offense, would you still want him returning kicks and punts?
Well, no. I think it's either you got to be one thing or the other, right?
Okay,
But
I got you.
yeah, I mean, but Duvernay, you know how they want to use him. He is their designated gadget guy. Like, we're gonna bring you on the
Yeah.
jet sweeps. You know what I mean? Like, and it maybe line you up in the slot or something like that. If the play breaks down and Lamar finds you, cool, perfect. But other than that, they're really not scheming up too much for him. You know?
Yeah.
So,
So I'll keep on going with the receivers. Mekhi
sure.
Polk, Mississippi State,
Yep.
13 games, 105 catches, 1,046 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Ran a 4.49 40-yard dash, and he was a deep threat. Oh,
That's
he is a
promising.
possession receiver. He is a possession receiver more than a deep threat. I'm sorry about that. And he had really good production in a team that was in the SEC. So not like he's playing a bunch of scrub teams, playing some NFL caliber, defensive backs and safeties.
Yeah.
Uh, and then another one, which I think a lot of Ravens fans have kept their eye on. I don't want to butcher this name, from NC State, Emeka Emezi, I believe. 60 catches, 802 yards, 6 touchdowns in 12 games. 6'3", 220 pounds. I mean, I think right there he could definitely be challenged. If he makes big plays, he could be challenged, I think, for special teams, but you never know. So that was kind of receivers I kept my eye on. And then a defensive lineman who I actually kind of caught my eye, Tyler Johnson at Arizona State. In 12 games, 36 tackles, 4 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss. Defensive lineman. I definitely think he could possibly make the practice squad, because I think, was it Dalen Mack last year? One of our guys like stepped up as like in the practice squad COVID replacement and like really took his
Yeah.
chance. I forget who it was.
Was it Dalen Mack or was it
There was somebody, I can't think of his name, but there was somebody else.
not McKenzie,
Isaiah,
was it?
yeah, it
Yeah,
was
McKenzie.
McKenzie. It
Yeah,
was McKenzie.
Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
both of them, and then kind of just, it's a quarterback, Anthony Brown from Oregon. 6'1". He threw for damn near 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think this is a camp arm, unless we deal Tyler Huntley, but I doubt it. And then I think there was one more person I want to talk about. Oh, Zacoby McClain from Auburn. 12
Okay.
games, 95 tackles, 2 sacks, 8 tackles for losses. I think this could be possibly a Chris Board replacement for special teams. That's because he's gone now. But just a couple of guys I kept my eyes on.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we can find like some diamonds in the rough there, right? And, again, this is like undrafted free agents and guys who are drafted later in the draft as opposed to earlier. Those are the guys that you're going to have to pull out your binoculars for in the preseason and really take a look at them, a closer look to see what they can do on a professional level against some really high level competition. So I'm very excited to see what a lot of those guys have to offer.
I did forget the last receiver. Devin Williams from Oregon. Only 10 games, 35 catches, 557 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 6'5", 207 pounds, ran a 4.65 40, and he had an 11-foot 1-inch broad jump that ranked 4th among wide receivers. So
Hey, I mean, it looks like they're doing they're doing their due diligence when it comes to like these undrafted free agents. They're getting
Yeah.
some depth, right?
they are.
But I don't know, dude. It just feels like they should be doing a lot more. It just feels like they should have done more in the draft. That was the reason why I gave the draft a B plus instead of an A. Because the wide receiver position I didn't feel like was properly addressed to the extent that I feel like it needed to be. And these undrafted free agents, I do like them. I like the sound of a Mekhi Polk. Having that production, having 1,000-yard season, 13 touchdowns, that sort of thing against stiff competition. I like that. Slade Bolden coming from Alabama. Sure hands guy. I've heard of some drop issues with him. I have, but those sort of things can be cleaned up in the NFL. A different level of competition can definitely spark a different level of competition in yourself. We've seen that with a few guys.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
speaking of undrafted free agent, did you see what Marlon Humphrey's tweet was a couple of days ago? It kind of lit a fire in
No.
me, unfortunately.
What
He said
happened?
all the 8th round draft picks that made it getting ready to send a tweet out about how they slept on and should have been drafted. K-Dog said Justin Tucker was an undrafted free agent. Let's not sleep on them. And
Hey.
this tweet kind of pissed me off because the Ravens are known for an organization that we give undrafted free agents a chance.
Yeah.
A Zach Orr, a Gus Edwards, undrafted free agent. And I don't want to, bash on people, but there was a cornerback last year who was undrafted free agent who absolutely balled out last year for the Lions. Like, we're talking about gave up less catches and less yards than Marlon Humphrey and was playing on number 1 and number 2 receivers. So that one kind of just rubbed me the wrong way, unfortunately, because these undrafted guys, there are diamonds in the rough, and there's a list long with them. So,
yeah. I mean, there are, and we are definitely going to be rooting for them as well. Now, let's go ahead and transition a little bit into our last topic of the night. And I believe we talked about this before the pod started. We were talking about the Ojabo news?
some good news, some very good
Good
news.
news. Good news about David Ojabo. Yeah, we're going to end the pod with some good news, right? David Ojabo was actually interviewed recently. I can't remember by who specifically right now. I apologize for that. But it was a recent interview, basically him saying that he's optimistic that he can actually come back and play this season. And not only just this season coming up, but early in the season. He's talking like September, October.
He's
you know what I
aiming
mean?
for week 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's promising to hear.
Yeah.
We don't want to rush him back,
No.
but the fact that he wants to play so early and get out there, I'm loving it. I'm loving that fight already. I see from a guy who hasn't played a snap yet.
Right. And, there were some good points made in that article as well. He was saying that, like, the Achilles injury is definitely a serious injury for sure. But you've seen guys recover from that injury in a matter of months and come back and actually be fine. Like, for example, Cam Akers had a Achilles injury, tore his Achilles, blasted it, in fact. Came back 5 months later and helped the Rams win a Super Bowl, at the running back position where you're constantly getting hit, So, with that being said, I mean, David Ojabo, I have all the faith. He's a young, athletic, physical guy. I'm sure he can make it back. He said he's already biking. He's already feeling better. No pain, things like that. He mentioned all those things in the interview. That's so good to hear.
And now I'm looking at you, Steve Saunders. Don't you dare get close to him. Stay away, please.
Yeah. I mean, they actually also said,
Even how does he have a job? Wait a second. This dude was the reason why we had a COVID outbreak in 2020.
yeah,
And your job is to keep these players right. And we have all these injuries last year. That's back to, and those are fireable offenses, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, honestly, it is. Now, that's the reason why I'm glad. There was recent news that came out about the Ravens saying that, I think John Harbaugh said it himself, like they're going to be dialing back like the intensity of the training camps and stuff like that this year. Yeah.
Can we not hold our conditioning tests as like a badge of honor that it's like the hardest in the league? I don't want that.
That's not a Super Bowl ring. That's not a Lombardi getting through
Don't
training
put
camp.
that one in the trophy cabinet.
Right.
No.
You don't get a Lombardi for making it through training camp. Like, you have to actually make it through a whole season, a whole playoffs, and you have to win a Super Bowl, right? You have to make sure your guys are available. Like, the best ability is availability. Yeah, exactly.
And
now we do have another
last year when there was that game. Like, there's going to be injuries, and who would have thought it would be that much though? So.
Yeah. Let's see. Dre has another super chat donation for us. Thank you so much. Making it rain. Episode 109 of PRP. Make sure you guys go ahead and like this video. But thank you again. Dre says, not sure if this has been asked yet, but what undrafted wide receivers do you guys think can make the team?
I think, number one, I think it's between Benjamin Victor, who we saw last year on the team, and I think between, I'm going to maybe go Devin Williams, or I'm going to say Emeka because I butchered his name, due to them having that height that we don't have on the team anymore. Miles Boykin's
That's
gone.
true. Yeah.
And I know Victor has that length too. It's one of those three, because they bring a different dimension than everybody else. So I'm gonna go with one of them three. I don't know who exactly, but that's who I keep my eye on.
Yeah, sure. But thank you so much again, Dre, for your super chat donation. We appreciate you, man. He's actually a Purple Rain pioneer as well. He's always
Yeah,
supporting,
always
always
showing
coming
love.
through. Yeah,
Always.
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, guys. So all in all, just kind of wrapping up that Ojabo news again. Like, I love seeing that. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
Ojabo is kind of fighting to get back and help the squad out. He's a Raven. He is a Raven, man. And like, I cannot wait to see, and I cannot stress this enough. Ojabo lined up alongside Odafe Owe, who actually happen to be pretty good friends too. Like, can you imagine? Just like, listen,
So
Alex, and
I know
everybody
you
watching
made
right
the
now.
video on like to get
Yeah.
the Penn State reunion. You made that, but who would have thought Ojabo would have you get that reunion?
I know. Like, come on, man. Like, can you imagine like having like one of your friends like on the other side of that edge rushing lineup, like Odafe Owe, and then you've got Ojabo, and it's kind of like that friendly competition going. Like, okay, who can get the most sacks? Who can get,
I'll
you know
throw
what I
in
mean?
Dalen Hayes because they
Dalen Hayes, the
Elway had that,
twinions, yeah.
they had that bromance last year. Now it's
They did,
oh,
yeah.
man.
That I mean, at the end of the day, I really do think that this season we're gonna see an uptick in sacks. We're gonna see an uptick in sacks than we did.
I'm there with you. I've said it. I've been saying it. I'm going Owe 10 plus.
Ooh,
That I've been saying. I definitely can see it happening. Fully
Owe
healthy.
10 plus.
He had what 5 last year, and he was 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles.
5 sacks. He had a lot of pressures, hell of a lot of pressures, man. And
I hate that word.
I hate the word too.
At Jalen Ferguson.
But hey, man, I mean, pressures are not you gotta. They're not overrated. I don't think pressures are overrated because like if you can throw a quarterback off his spot, maybe you might not be able to sack him every time. Listen, these guys are really, really freaking good, right? These quarterbacks, these offensive line, these offenses. But if you can at least throw him off his spot, make him throw the ball before he wants to, make him throw off his back foot, or that sort of thing, that's really good too. Because that can lead to another loss of down. So,
well, real quick, we do have 98 people watching. Leave a like if you're new. You can subscribe, and thank you for coming through.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming through to this episode 109 of the Purple Rain podcast.
Okay, hold on. The Justin Tucker episode, and I got to get in this real quick because I have a bone to pick with, I think it's 92.3, The Fan in Cleveland, Ohio, in that poverty city. Thank you for the 199 super chat, Balti Raven. Thank you. They said that we're going to make up a fake rumor that Justin Tucker is holding out, and we wanted to. These are guys who went to college. They're accredited journalists.
Right.
So they're going to make up a fake rumor, and they want it to get so big that somebody has to ask Harbaugh about it in a press conference. Oh, it got big to the point where Justin Tucker turned it down and said, "I'm not holding out. Like, why would I do that?" So I just
literally came out and tweeted that.
I want to get your thoughts on that because I'm like, bro, is that like, are we really on Cleveland's minds that much for them to make up fake rumors about us?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like we always live rent-free in Cleveland fans' minds, honestly. And even with them getting Deshaun Watson and thinking that they're going to win the division and all this.
What do you gain from that? Like, making up a fake rumor? Like, we've never...
But I love the way Tucker shut it down, though, right? Like, he just goes out on Twitter and just like, not holding out, like, sorry. Like, what? Like, that was pretty funny. I love that from him. I mean, we have the best kicker in the league. So
arguably of all time. I love me some J-Tuck.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think that would be all of our topics for the night. Before we get out of here, I do want to do the question segment. I do want to get some questions in here from you.
We have 100 people watching and 63 likes. Let's get that to 70 and drop a question and you can ask anything. Literally anything.
Literally anything. You can ask us anything about Ravens football, about any other team in the NFL, about any other sport. Hey, NBA playoffs is on right now. Ask us about that. You can ask us about UFC card. The UFC card that's coming up this week in K-Dog. I didn't forget you.
Yeah, he asked you.
Yeah, I didn't forget K-Dog. I got you, man. And then also, even if it's not about sports, guys, you can ask us anything. Literally anything. So yeah, this is the Rain Gang question segment. Go ahead and drop your questions down below here. I'm going to start with my guy K-Dog, Mod K-Dog, Purple Rain Pioneer K-Dog. He says UFC, Oliveira, or Gaethje. Yes, this weekend. There's a great card this weekend, man. A lot of legends, a lot of young fighters as well. But Charles Oliveira, the lightweight champion of the world, is facing Justin Gaethje, one of the most dangerous strikers, one of the most dangerous brawlers in the lightweight division. He's been there, he's done that, he's tried and true and tested. They will be going at it this week for the lightweight strap. Who do I think will win that fight? Me personally, I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira, and I'm going to go with it for this reason. I have some pretty interesting things to say about Charles Oliveira as well. I think Oliveira wins because he has more tools in the toolbox than Justin Gaethje. He has a better ground game than Gaethje, and his striking is also very, very technical. See, Gaethje's more of like I'm going to hit you with leg kicks, and as soon as you stop moving around too well, I'm going to come up top and I'm going to knock you the F out with my hands. That's his game plan. Oliveira is more like, he's more technical. He's going to be kind of sitting back a little bit more. The only knock on him, he does leave his chin up. And guys like Gaethje are very, very, he's a knockout artist. So if he does leave his chin up, he can hurt Oliveira. My thing is, though, we've seen Charles Oliveira hurt multiple times, and he still comes back and wins. Now, here's the most interesting thing about Charles Oliveira, if you did not know. The man wears glasses, and I don't know if any of you guys have been in a street fight wearing glasses, but it's not easy. So when he gets into the octagon, of course, he's not wearing his glasses. He literally said in an interview one time, when he's in the octagon, he sees 3 of his opponent.
That's insane.
He sees 3 of his opponent, but yet he's the lightweight champion of the world. He says what he does is he just tries to punch the guy in the middle. That's what he does.
That's insane.
That's insane. And he wins fights. So, all credit to him. I think that he gets it done this weekend. I would like to see Justin Gaethje win. I really like Justin Gaethje as well, but who do I think is going to win? I've learned with UFC, I got to go with my mind, not my heart. I've got Charles Oliveira taking the W for that one. Let me see.
Cool.
Let's see. JD Killswitch next up says, who do you guys got for the NBA Finals right now?
Okay, for the West, easily the Suns. Suns, I think, or Warriors. But I'm going to go with the Suns because Chris Paul, I watched the game last night.
Yeah.
Bro, he turned it up in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah.
The East, I think, is so hard. It's really hard for me.
I'm going to go with the Bucks, honestly. I'm going to go with the Bucks again. Yeah.
I
just feel like Giannis turns it on.
Yeah, he did it to my Bulls, unfortunately. I'm going to go. It's a rematch of last year.
Now, what's most interesting to me is, like, you look at Ja Morant and what he's doing right now. He's going crazy. Yeah.
I saw, but who is it that got suspended today? Forget his name. Whoever hurt Gary Payton. He suspended game
Brooks.
3. Yeah, he suspended game 3, and like when he was on the floor, they had a plus 33. So I'm like, that's not good for them. But I got the rematch.
Yeah, dude. I just like I said with Ja Morant, the things he's doing right now is very reminiscent of Allen Iverson, who was one of the guys I watched when I was growing up. The reason why I'm a Sixers fan today, he kind of reminds me of him, and I'm excited to see how he develops. Now, do I think that he beats the Golden State Warriors? No, I think that eventually Steph and Clay will turn it on to the point where it'll be too much for them to handle, and they'll end up pulling that series out. But in the NBA Finals, I got the Bucks. And I got the Suns. I know it's boring to hear the repeat, but those are the 2 teams that I think are like the best in the league right now. Like you said, with Chris Paul looking like he's looking like, even at this stage in his career,
that's
just
insane.
giving Luka Doncic buckets back to back last night. It was crazy. It was insane. Yeah. I got them. Let me see. Next question is coming from E. No Next says, how do you feel about the Ravens drafting a punter? Was Sam Cook's season that bad?
It wasn't the best. Around 4th round, I mean, we had 6 4th-round picks. I'm kind of like, it's growing on me a little bit because the guy, if the guy can start putting these guys deep and let our defense maybe force more turnovers, making it a lot easier for the offense, I'm cool with it. But I don't think it was that bad. I think it was the cap hit, which was pretty bad. So I think releasing him will save up cap because who knows what we're going to do. So I think it was a strictly money move, though.
Yeah, it's a money move, and it was going to have to happen eventually, right? Like, Sam Cook's not going to be able to play football forever. He's not going to be able to be punting footballs forever for us, and we know that. And they even had a conversation with Sam Cook that they were going to be drafting a punter in this draft. So, I don't think there's any bad blood there either. I'm sure Sam Cook understands it's a business, right? It's a business. That's how I feel about it. Let's see. Yolanda dropping a question here says, if you had to choose only one, which Ravens player do you want to have a breakout/comeback season? This is a fabulous question right
this
here.
This is so easy for me. So I'm gonna let you go first because I know my answer like that.
If I had to choose only one, which Ravens player do you want to have a breakout/comeback season? I'm gonna go with. For me, it's between 2 guys. And I know you said I can only choose one, so I'm gonna have to. Say them both. Okay,
Sam both.
I'm gonna say J.K. Dobbins
Okay.
or Rashad Bateman. It's
Okay.
got to be one of those
Mine's
two
different.
guys.
Mine is different. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Mine.
I mean, reason I say Dobbins is because, like, listen, man, when we had Dobbins and he was breaking off those big plays in his rookie season, we were winning games. We were winning games. Remember that play against the Bengals?
Of
Ripped it off for
course.
like 70
Jermaine
yards.
Pratt. Who?
Yeah. If we can get that back, oh my God, our offense will be potent. Potent.
Yep.
But, Rashad Bateman, if he has a breakout season and Lamar and Bateman's connection is really like that, like really tight, then that could really, work for us as well. Like having the passing game would not hurt. So I would say one of those two guys. What do you think, though?
Mine. As it's like it's. I think he's one of the most criticized players on the team. It's gonna be Patrick Queen. 100%. The shit this dude deals with, I see like nonstop. I'm like, bro, like I can't wait for him to just shut so many people up. I think
Yeah.
we saw more of it last year, and I think now with an actual, former second team All Pro linebacker as his coach, I think he can improve in the pass coverage, as well as having a Josh Bynes back. And who knows? I mean, what else with the linebacker? I'm gonna go with Patrick Queen.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that. Patrick Queen, I've always said, like, your linebackers are so important on the defense. Like, you have, and I hate using this analogy because it sounds so silly, but, like, if you think of, like, the defense is like a sandwich, right? You have, like, your bottom bread is your defensive line. Your top bread is your secondary. And then everything in between. So all the good stuff, bringing everything together is your linebacking core, because they're asked to do so much. They're asked to play up front, stop the run if you need to, drop back in coverage if you need to. Like they're just asked to do so much.
And even with our lack of pass rush too, it's making his life even harder too, because it's like you can only cover so many people. With these, it's so tough. It's so tough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we didn't blitz him enough. I would like him either. I mean, he has one sack last year, and it was in the first game of the season. And
Right.
I saw Mike McDonald is going to make it a lot easier for the linebackers in the system. And hell, who knows? I mean, Kyle Hamilton can be playing in the box with him too, so I would love that. But I'm gonna go Patrick Queen.
Patrick Queen. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can get behind that as well. Let me see. Jonathan Washington Jr. Oh, no, he's talking about John Morant scoring 47 to barely beat the Warriors. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the Warriors will be too much for him eventually. Let's see. We got a question from Elix Cicerone. It says, do you guys think that we need to fire Coach Harbaugh to change the philosophy at wide receiver?
Ooh.
I'm not calling for his job. It's just a question.
Ooh.
Do we need some new blood at head coach in order to kind of shake things up in Baltimore and kind of start a new regime,
I don't think so. Not the head coach. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I
think
think offensive coordinator.
offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
If anything. I think Harbs can stay. Like you said before earlier in the episode, Alex, like sometimes his loyalty can be detrimental to the team.
That loyalty runs deep.
It does. It does, for sure.
I respect it, but at a point it's a little too much.
Yeah. Let's see. So Don C chiming in here. Shout out to our guy Don C. Says at PRP, Alex and Sutton, do we try to unload Chuck Clark and don't sweat who has the green dot?
There's a certain cornerback on the market right now that I would love for the Ravens to get. His name is James Bradbury from the Giants.
The Giants, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think that right there would just make our secondary even better. And we've seen you can never have enough defensive backs because somehow I saw you guys were talking about Amon Marshall. Like I said, do we know what he looks like? Do we know if he's a real player? Is he like some AI created like by Madden? Like who knows? With the whole green dot thing, I'm not too sure. I mean, I think Josh Bynes could wear it since he's back. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But if Chuck Clark is truly unhappy, then I think, like Hollywood Brown, you gotta let him go.
Agreed. We'll take a couple more here. Let's see. Jabari Cruz Ellis says Sam Cook for the Ring of Honor.
I think he'll be in there. He's played the most games as a Baltimore Raven.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And he's done his job so consistently over the years too.
right.
Really
I mean, even
can't
holding
be
the
mad at
ball,
guy.
like that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, he's the only one who's ever held snaps for Justin Tucker, right?
That's except one game when he had he was on the COVID list last year.
Yeah.
Week
I do
17
remember that.
against the Bengals 2 years ago, 2020 season.
Yep. Ravens latest says, like it up, man. You can't be in here and not dropping a like.
Please.
Yeah, man, he already knows what it is. Shout out to Ravens Latest. Make sure you guys go follow them
76
on
likes.
Instagram. Yeah, make sure you guys go
Yep.
ahead and follow them on Instagram for sure. Ravens Latest. Let's see. Take one more here. What do we got from you guys? Spooky J doubles down. He says Tank or Romero. I think that fight's this weekend. No, it may be this weekend, next weekend. I'm not exactly sure.
I think
Gervonta Tank
it's later this
Davis.
month.
Tank Davis, yeah.
Might be
Or
later
later
this
this month.
month.
It might be, yeah. Listen, man. Here's my thing, right? The reason why I grew up watching boxing, but I love UFC now as an adult because they don't waste time with getting the best guys to fight the best guys. Like, I know fully, who Gervonta Tank Davis is, but I have no idea who this Romero cat is. I don't. Just like the past 3 guys that Tank Davis fought, and he knocked them all out in devastating fashion, right? I feel like he probably gets the same thing done with this guy, even though I'm sure this guy is really, really good. And Spooky J, I'm sure you probably know more than me about this since you're bringing it up. But I've got Tank. The Baltimore native. I've got him.
Same.
Yeah,
I'm always gonna go for Tank.
for sure. Let's see. We'll take one more. Jahai Scott here. What's going on, man? Says, how would you guys feel if we traded Chuck Clark with Geno Stone and Jefferson there?
It depends what we get back in return. I personally like for him to stay for multiple reasons. But if he wanted to go, I would get it. Wouldn't hold any bad blood. I mean, we do have now what it's going to be: Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, Geno Stone, Tony Jefferson, Brandon Stevens, who can play safety as well, and then Ardarius Washington, who can play in the slot. Definitely a lot of safeties, but Mike McDonald loves running 3 safeties in his defense, so who knows? But
Hey, man,
it wouldn't really hurt me like that.
those 3 safety packages are going to be very, very interesting.
Right, like he could be getting playing time. So that's why I'm not really thinking we might trade him because he'll be getting his time on the field.
Yeah. And we saw Chuck Clark. I mean, he's a valuable piece on that defense. He was pretty much the only reason why we were even in that game against the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions. That pick six, crazy. Right? Yeah. Damn, to think we almost beat them. We came like 1 play away from beating those guys. It's crazy, right? Super Bowl champions without Lamar.
Von Miller just.
Yeah, dude.
He had to remember that final drive.
Yeah. All right. So I think that is going to do it for episode 109 of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you guys so much for coming through to this episode. Make sure before you get out of here, make sure you leave a like. Leave a like on the video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you are new and you enjoyed the content that you just consumed. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast for all updates on all things Purple Rain. Make sure you follow us there. One last thing, make sure you follow Simply AS10, this guy over here, on Twitter at Simply AS10 and on Instagram at simplyas10.prod. You can follow me and myself at Sutton Def on Twitter and Instagram, just at Sutton Def, like you see right there. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out for the night.
Thank you for coming through to episode 109 of the Purple Rain Podcast. We have 80 likes. Thank you very much. For hitting 80 likes. It means a ton. Helps a lot for the growth of the channel as well.
It does.
And if you stay this way, drop that hashtag replay gang in the comments below. And as always, stay positive, test negative, and
and never, ever, ever, ever forget to call God. We're going to catch you guys in the next one.